A station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
It's another DMV first warn day ahead of an Arctic blast barreling into our area. We're tracking your weather in real time to bring you the latest. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Shanika Grimshaw in for Mark Hall. This afternoon, we have live winter coverage as crews have already begun to treat the roads. Let's head over first to meteorologist Damon Matson, who joins us with the most up-to-date information on this huge storm. Damon?
Yes, Shanika. Well, we lucked out for the most part here as far as this storm went and that potential for a flash freeze. Let's go ahead and break this down here. Of course, it is still getting rapidly colder out there, but look at this, the radar picture. We kicked out most of the precipitation that we saw this morning about an hour and a half ago, and then luckily enough, before the coldest air rolled into the I-95 corridor and the D.C. Metro, we got some sunshine to go along with that, and luckily a lot of those damp surfaces have now dried out. All that water was able to evaporate, so thankfully enough, things are looking good to go, but you still want to be as cautious as possible. We still have flood warnings in place across places like Frederick, Loudoun counties, where all the rain we saw last night has still led to some small streams and creeks rising above their banks a little bit, and we have a little bit of that standing water still left back out to the west as this Arctic cold air is arriving. It's down to 30 in D.C. Just an hour ago, we were in the low 40s, and then back out to the west, air temps in the teens and single digits. Now, you couple that with these wind speeds of 20 to 30 miles an hour. That's a sustained wind, and then we've had gusts even higher than that. Wow, a 74-mile-per-hour gust over in Kaiser, West Virginia. The rest of the viewing area has already experienced upwards of 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts at times. And again, that is enough to knock out power easily, and that is dangerous with how cold it is getting here. The wind chill, it's down into the teens. That's what it feels like out there in D.C., and it's feeling like it is below zero already back across I-81 in the mountains. So dangerous, bitter cold. That is our next focus, of course, moving forward this afternoon. But here it is. Again, those road conditions, they've already quickly dried out just before this coldest air arrived in D.C. in the I-95 corridor. So a flash freeze is less likely at this point. But you still, again, just want to take caution just in case we have indications that those roadways are still icy back across the I-81 corridor. So still, if you are going to be out and about at all today or have travel plans today, still be as cautious as you possibly can. But like I just mentioned, our main concern from here on out is going to be that wind and cold combination. Look at this. As we go through the rest of the afternoon, it is going to continue to get colder and colder with temperatures falling into the teens easily by this evening, and it's going to be feeling like it's below zero by tonight. What is the coldest we are set to experience, and when might we finally get some relief when this colder air exits? We'll have your full forecast coming up here in just a bit.
Ooh, bundle up if you can, if you're heading out there. Thank you so much, Damon. Now let's head over to our Lex Juarez, who is now live getting all the information you need to know to prepare as these freezing temps could come our way. Hey, Lex.
Well, the wind is whipping and temperatures continue to drop. It's bad news for anyone who has to be outside or people living in the Cloister apartments right here who are dealing with a power outage. And while things like this are unexpected, officials across the DMV have been preparing for the weather that was expected. No power means no heat. Crews say a downed power line is the culprit, but residents in this Northeast D.C. apartment complex will be uncomfortable for at least several hours. Drivers, on the other hand, should have a typical experience on the roads. Snow teams across the DMV prep for the weather and are keeping an eye on roads as things develop.
So everybody's staged in various locations around the county, just waiting for it to get icy and us to do what we do.
We put our first shift out this morning at 6:30. We put 28 trucks staged in each ward to roll the streets, look for wet spots and potential icing conditions.
All drivers need to do is pay extra attention behind the wheel.
It's always better if you can limit your travel and, give us room to work.
This is not 85 degrees in July, and the streets are warm, and conditions are normal.
You can see crews here on the street working to restore that power. The apartment complex says that the last word they got from Pepco was that power would be restored by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In Washington, I'm Lex Juarez, DC News Now.
All right, thank you. And in the next half hour, we'll have a live report from our Dave Laval on the latest travel delays at Reagan National, just in case you're flying out. And the Virginia Department of Transportation is advising people on how they could stay safe if they get stuck into a car during the blizzard, or if you get stuck. So they say if you're on the highway, pull over and turn on your hazards. Once snow stops falling, raise your hood to call attention to yourself. Get back into your car and stay there unless there's somewhere close by you can take shelter to keep warm. Run the engine and the heater about every 10 minutes every hour, so for 10 minutes every hour. And open the window slightly to protect from carbon monoxide poisoning. And new at noon earlier today, a woman was struck and killed along University Boulevard and 23rd Avenue in Hyattsville, Maryland. When officers arrived, the woman was discovered in the roadway. She was taken to a hospital where she was pronounced dead. The cause of the collision is currently being investigated, and the driver of the vehicle remained on scene. And in Virginia, the potential of a flash freeze could cause dangerous driving conditions today. With icy roadways expected across the DMV, our Marielle Carbone was in Northern Virginia last night to find out how drivers are preparing.
You know what? If it's that bad when I wake up tomorrow, I may consider rolling back over and going back to bed.
But for now, Blaine Ashton is planning to go to work. That means driving on Virginia roadways in potentially dangerous and icy conditions.
So moving back from Arizona, it's going to give me a little bit of trepidation getting back out there on the road.
VDOT is warning people to reconsider traveling on Friday. But if you absolutely have to, the agency says you should have an emergency kit in your car.
I'm former military, so I keep all that good stuff, flashlights and, hand sanitizer, soap. Extra pair of underwear, you might need.
Winter kits should have the basics from water, snacks and blankets to an ice scraper, shovel and jumper cables.
I do keep a kit in my car. I have an extra pair of gloves. I have jumper cables.
Bob Levy always keeps his car stocked up.
Because you never know what's going to happen. You need to be prepared, because if you get stuck, you're in trouble.
Like what happened back in January when cars were stranded on 95 for more than 24 hours due to winter weather.
I mean, as prepared as I'm going to be.
Ashley Duncan just added a few extra items to her car this week.
And then I went out and bought a scraper for my car and like the brush. They advised we get that when I watch the news.
She says she'd stay off the roads if she could. But with just days until the holidays, she's got some last-minute shopping to do.
But I have to do what I have to do.
Mayor Muriel Bowser and D.C.'s Department of Child and Family Services are encouraging residents to stay on top of their mental health this holiday season. Bowser encouraged people to use their resources and the services available to all residents in all 8 wards. Some resources you can use are the Mental Health Hotline, Family Success Centers, D.C. Prevention Centers, and practicing self-care strategies like eating healthy and getting enough sleep. For more healthy ways to deal with stress and support others, you can visit the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and visit Coping with Stress. They have a website. And Greenbelt police are investigating an incident where a man cut 2 people on Crescent Road. Officers responded to an incident where 2 people suffered minor injuries after a suspect cut them. He is described as a man wearing a black jacket, light-colored shirt, and blue jeans. Police have also received reports of a man matching this description knocking on doors along the road, asking to be let in. Residents are being told to lock all doors and call police if they spot that man.